Welcome to the Pod and Deliver podcast, where we talk about teachers, mentors, gurus, shaman. Maybe that's going a little too far. And today we're continuing our discussion of Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson.
What would you call him? Was he a mentor, you think? Or what would you call him?
Well, he's a lot of things. He's a podcaster. He's a public speaker, and he's definitely a mentor to millions.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking about the 12 Rules for Life, Part 2, 7 through 12. With us is, as I said, I'm Ruben Aguilar, and that is...
Jacob Aguilar. Sorry, I thought I saw you calling it Frank.
Sorry, I meant to go, okay. I don't know where you're at in the screen.
There you go. I'm here. Jacob Aguilar.
We also have special guest, Francisco Loaiza. Hi, Frank.
Hello. Thank you.
And we have Cris Aguilar. How you doing, Chris?
Young and vibrant, not old and withering.
Wow. Jeez.
I hope you're safe as you're
There you go.
driving.
Can you please look
I
at the
hope you
road?
stay safe.
Can you please look at the road? What's wrong with this guy?
Yes, I'm safe.
So why don't we start with you, Chris? It's a rich part of the book, like the first part. But what rule really struck you as you read this week?
Well, as you're saying, they're all, it's very rich, very fantastic. There's just a lot of depth here. I'd be surprised that I literally have read through it twice, audiobook through it twice. But to answer your question directly, what jumps out at me right now is tell the truth, or at least don't lie.
So that's rule number 8.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one. And I mean, they're once again, they're all great, but that one jumps out at me because I think sometimes we tend to sugarcoat a lot of things, and we tend to want to save people from hard feelings. And he gave a lot of great examples in that chapter on why that isn't so great and actually can hurt the other person. So I hear yeah.
That was the chapter I would have picked first, but then there's a second chapter that I maybe had second place, but which I'll talk about. But yeah, I think this book kind of resonated with me. It feels like he also kind of went into it. He touches on the same topic sometimes in different chapters, right? But in chapter 10, he comes back to it in a way, right? Regarding the don't lie, right? I mean, I think that's the actual title, right? And so
tell the truth, or at least don't lie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And then there's another chapter. Oh no, keep your words impeccable. I'm sorry. Keep your
Precise.
Yeah.
precise. You know why I thought impeccable is because there's another book by a gentleman who wrote 4 Agreements, and his last name is Reese, right? And he talks about similar things regarding keeping your, I don't want to get into that right now, but regarding keeping your words impeccable. But here, Jordan Peterson says precise. You're correct.
Be precise in your speech. Yeah, that's, I work in the engineering field, and one of the things that we have to be precise in what we document. And all the work that I do, someone else always double checks it. And there's no shame when someone corrects you, but when someone corrects you, you're actually grateful, because your legacy, when it says Frank Loaiza on the command file, it's going to be perfect. There's no room for B's, It has to be perfect.
Before we go too deep into Rule 10, which is be precise in your speech, I just wanted to, close the chapter, as it were, on Rule 8, in terms of tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Well, I'm going to go with rule number 12.
There you go.
And on its face, it's about his children. But he opens it with it's a very nice bookend, because he opens it. Now, I mean, we could talk about his use of Dostoevsky all day, because He really brings him up a lot. And in this case, it's the story of, in the Brothers Karamazov, of a child that's been tortured by being left, I think, in the shed in the dead of winter while the parents sleep at night as a means of punishment. And the challenge to Alyosha, the Christian in the book, there's a lot of profound things in that book, but the challenge is, if you had a choice to end all the suffering in the world, but the price would be to torture one child, would you do it, Alyosha?
Wow.
And Alyosha said, no. And so then there's the conundrum, there's the difficulty, because the idea is, well, God chose to do that with the suffering of his children. And then Jordan Peterson goes on to talk about primarily his daughter and the suffering she's gone through her whole life.
Surgeries at a young age.
Through surgeries, hip replacement, ankle replacement, rheumatoid arthritis, all this. And I love the last line, because as you're listening to it, you want to piece it together. What's this about? What's this rule about? So the rule is, I should read it. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street.
Oh, yeah.
The idea being, at the very last line of the book,
Mm-hmm.
or one of them. I know there's a coda at the end, but this is what he says. Things, because his daughter's better now. There's a happy ending.
Right.
But this is through a lifetime of suffering, or in her 20s, I think she was in her 20s when it stopped. Things are good for now. It's that idea, it's very profound. It's that idea of suffering might be down the road.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's a good chance. There's actually a good chance. For now, pick up the cat.
Yeah.
Right?
Enjoy the moment.
Enjoy
the
it.
in life, right?
Be grateful. Yeah. And by the way, I'm really grateful that he doesn't talk about the cat as much as the dog, because as you know, dogs are better. But
very controversial, Ruben. You're very controversial.
Yeah. Cats, however, are their own creatures. They aren't social or hierarchical, except in passing. They're only semi-domesticated. They don't do tricks. They're friendly on their own terms.
They
Right? I'm just reading that straight out of the book.
Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
I think I love that last line too, Ruben. But I kind of wonder if no matter what, suffering is coming. Because even if you lived a pretty magical life, and so let's just say that's with a spouse of 50 years and kids and a dog and cat like we're talking about, and everything is just hunky-dory. Well, even in that magical life on your last days, there's someone probably suffering a little bit because you're going. So I think what I think the last words right are for now, because suffering is coming. And it isn't, and Frank mentioned being fatalistic. It could be looked that way. It could look that way, but it's reality. We will encounter in small doses or in large doses suffering.
And the Christian perspective is, that this world is not our home. The place of non-suffering is heaven, right? But there are beautiful things on earth that we can enjoy.
So pet that cat. No, but I mean, even Jordan Peterson, this is written, 3-4 years ago, and he didn't see it in his future where he'd have some real heavy health problems where it almost took his life. I know he had COVID this last 6 months. And so he is kind of, being real, isn't he? I mean, even with his own self, like, hey, it's only I can only talk about today, or at least in this time period.
Some of the conspiracy theorists believe that he brought this onto himself to prove that he lived with what he believed.
He went through hell just to show that, hey, you know what I wrote is the real deal, right?
He comes out, voila, I'm fine.
I'm good. Although I think life has definitely taken a tough page on him there. But
Yeah,
go ahead.
if you've seen him lately, I watched his YouTube videos. He looks pretty worn out, man. But because he's gone through it, he's gone through some rough stuff, but he's still doing it. That's the thing. I give him credit. He's still moving forward. He's still doing good in the world. You know, he interviewed an actor who wrote a book.
I think McConaughey.
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 That's right.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty riveting interview. I actually enjoyed the talk.
Yeah, you know what? He has another. Hey, you know what, guys? He has another 12 rules. So maybe we'll be back here again in the near future to go over those next 12 rules.
Yeah, it comes out in March.
In March? Wow, coming up. So there you go.
Very good. Any final words about? Just for the record, we did not cover rule number 9 or 10. No, we covered 10, be precise in your speech. But number 9 is assume that the person you are listening to might know something that you don't.
Yikes. That's a big one.
Be a good listener, man.
Yeah, and he had already, like that one woman at the beginning, he had already kind of formulated his view and his impression of her, but he decided to just continue to listen. Yeah. That would be hard for me because I have a hard time listening. So the little bit I read on chapter 9 really spoke to me on that. It's having real dialogue, real conversation, you know. It's a lost art in a sense.
I don't think you can have a conversation if you're not listening, right? How can you really have a valuable piece to say if you haven't really listened to the other person? So,
yeah.
Without indicting our past too much.
He talked about thinking.
Go for it, Frank.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, without indicting our past.
When he mentioned the thing about
I love
the
this.
Zoom issue. I'm going to go. So without indicting us too much, and Frank, you could exclude yourself, but even the way we were raised, my brothers and I, maybe we're always right. Whoever, you know, and maybe the church we went to was we're definitely right. So I like that rule because it's actually retraining my thinking a little bit of, man, maybe this person has something to give me. And they totally seem wrong, but maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
Nah, you're not right. No.
Well, you know, somebody once told me, and it was pretty hilarious, but it really hit me in a deep way. No, Frank, continue speaking because you're teaching me what not to do.
Oh, wow.
Powerful.
You know, there's a very interesting quote in this chapter. You know that in general, he'll bring in these patients. He'll talk about these patients, some of whom are really living wasted lives through drug abuse, alcohol, or just, you know, mismanagement of or poor decisions.
Yeah.
Listen to this. People like her, so one of his patients, are the reason that the many forms of psychotherapy practices all work. People can be so confused that their psyches will be ordered and their lives improved by the adoption of any reasonably orderly system of interpretation.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was fantastic.
Wow.
True.
Yeah. It's like they find meaning in the illness that they're told they have, and even though they may not have that illness, right? It's like living a lie, basically. See, there he goes again, overlapping.
That repeater. No,
Yeah.
but he just gives example after example. So I think that's what makes it. And real life examples. He's not somebody who lived. You know, he's a professor at a college. He's not somebody who lives in you would think maybe an Eiffel Tower and just, this is what I'm going to write about. And, you know, I haven't lived it. But he actually talks about his patients. He talks about his life. He talks about his children, his family. So you can gravitate to him and say, oh yeah, he's like me. You know, I could relate to him. Where I think some other writers, you would say, wow, did they really experience that? Or are they just saying that? But he's just giving you real life examples, which I think resonates with me at least.
Oh, that resonates with me as well, because there's people like, I don't know, Dr. Fauci, who hasn't seen a patient in decades. Anyways, I'm sorry. That's
As the political world goes.
Yeah.
Well, any last words on the book or any of the truths that lie therein?
I give my 5 stars. out of 5 stars.
Yeah, that was definitely worth reading. And I want to thank our special guests, Frank Loaiza and Cris Aguilar. Frank, where can we find you? Is this you on Facebook, Instagram, all that?
Frank Loaiza at Gmail, Frank Loaiza at Yahoo. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on Parler, but I think they shut that down. I don't know.
And then Cris, job aim?
You can find me in Monrovia. Don't look for me anywhere else. I'm around.
He doesn't want to answer your questions on Jordan Peterson or anything.
That's right.
Very good. All right. Signing off for Jake. This is the Pod and Deliver podcast. Until next time. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.